in dating at least. A study by the University of Chicago done in 2006 looked at multiple different traits of men, including height, facial attractiveness, and ethnicity.
Wait, hold on. What is it saying? So if anybody that's 5 foot, additional need. They said you need to have money on the sides. You need to have money on the side to pay for your lacking links, bro. So wait, at what point do you not need money? Okay, so where am I at? Okay, so I'm at like, okay, I don't know where I'm at. I know where I'm at. All right, I know where I'm at. I'm safe. That's all I know. I'm safe. So if you're 5 foot, you need an additional like what? Shit, additional income needed by men. $1,000, bro. 317. 5'2", 269. Absolute madness.
And attempted to give dollar values to each of these traits. So if you're 5 feet tall, you need $317,000 in additional income to be the equivalent of someone who's 5'11 and a half. I think it's hard to visualize these
They said
income
pay
amounts,
for the
though.
rest.
And so for the sake of this video, we're going to be looking at height and ethnicity. So if you're an Asian man in the eyes of a white woman, the largest subtraction in the study, we can see that's the equivalent of being about 5'3", which is 8.5 inches shorter than the baseline 5'11 and a half. And if we look at a lighter one, we can see that Hispanic men in the eyes of Asian women is considered to be about 5'10", which is, 1.5 inches shorter than the baseline. Now, I'm not going to take any of these exact figures because this study does use a smaller sample size, and I'm going to ignore them. But what we can take away is being an unfavorable ethnicity can be the equivalent of being approximately 2 to 9 inches shorter. So if you're a girl's favorable ethnicity and she likes your race, you're going to appear your regular height of, in this case, 6'3". Whereas if you're her unfavorable ethnicity, in terms of your attractiveness, you're going to appear 5'6".
Yeah, nah, this is some solid advice, to be honest with you, because thing is, if someone has a preference and you are not their preference and you still want to get that person, then you better like come up with something, yeah, that makes you stand out. Do you see what I'm saying? If someone's gonna go outside of their comfort zone, then whoever they're going outside their comfort zone for has to be special. Do you see what I'm saying? So I guess that's the reason why you have to you have to pay for your missing height. That's mad.
Obviously, you don't actually appear shorter, but in terms of your attractiveness, this is pretty easy to visualize. So what are people's actual preferences? Well, when we look at a study from OkCupid.
Hold on. OkCupid results are in. All right. So, large boost, small boost, neutral. Red is negative. Okay. So black women do not like Asian men. All right. Black women neutral about black men. They do not like Latino men, and they do not like white men. So it just seems like a black woman's most wanted, yeah, the hit list is just black men, right? Asian women prefer Asian men, 100%. Then maybe black men, then Latino men, and largely, okay, well, they prefer a white man. So Asian man first, a white man second. Let's see what a white woman prefers. A white woman is okay with an Asian man. Negative the black man. I have a story for this actually. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually true. The stats I'm seeing is accurate to what I've experienced using dating apps. Latino men, a white man. So yeah, preferably they prefer a white man, but the absolute no-no is apparently a black man. So I guess if you're black, you have something called niche appeal. Niche appeal basically means if a particular race, let's say white women, yeah, if there's a small group of white women within the entire group that will go for some something alternative, right, than a white man, than their own race, then most likely they'll go for a black man then because of niche appeal. The problem is, okay, lots of black men love white girls. They love white girls, and there's only a small pool of white girls that go for that niche appeal. Do you see what I'm saying? So you got a bunch of niggas that's struggling for the same ass, bro. We're doing booty Olympics. We're doing coochie Olympics, bro. We're competing for the same coochie, bro. I'm not saying we, because I'm just open to all races, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying just the black people that in general, the black men that go for white women, you niggas are all competing, right, for the same pussy, bro.
Done in 2014, we could see men's online dating preferences tend to be pretty neutral outside of their preferences for black women, with black men being the most neutral.
Alright, now let's see what the men prefer. The men prefer. Okay, so Asian men prefer Asian men prefer Asian women. Okay, black men are most neutral because I guess they just go for anybody. A good negative. I don't know why black. I don't know. I haven't met that many black men that wouldn't go for a white woman. I've only met like I only know like 2 friends who have said absolutely not. Like they're not gonna date a white woman or anything like that. But except from that, anybody else that I personally know, they definitely go for a white woman. Let's see. What's the white man? A white man prefers Asian, right? Okay, so white man prefers an Asian woman or a white woman. Okay, a black man is neutral and everything. They prefer Asian women over black women, and they prefer Latino women over black women, and they have a negative for white women. That's mine. All right.
We can see that Asian women tend to do the best outside of their own race, although all women tend to do best with their own race. Now, when we look at women's dating preferences, immediately you'll probably notice women are a lot harsher. Asian women being the harshest in terms of racial preferences. All men tend to do, again,
Hold up. So Asian women prefer Asian men. Okay, black women do not like Asians. They prefer black men. Latino men are okay, and white men is an absolute no. Let's see. Latina women prefer. They don't like Asian men. They don't like black men. They prefer Latina men or white men. All right. Let's see. White woman does not like Asian men. Definitely. Well, slightly less to black men. They like. They're okay with Latino men, and they love white men 100%. Yeah, this seems to be accurate based on my dating experiences. And let me tell you something. This is story time. Okay. Now, this is when I was looking my best, okay? This is what I've done, like, insanity. I lost weight. I was looking my best, right? And I bought a nice suit and everything like that. Now, this is the first time I was going on a dating app. Because I remember a year prior, when I was working at some kind of, like, Apple warehouse store, right? Broski came up to me, right? Light-skinned brother came up to me, introduced me to Tinder. And he said, yo, like, I'm clapping cheeks, man. You know what I'm saying? There's so much cheeks coming from left, right, center. Bro, it's too much. He can't handle it. He said, bro, you need to jump on that shit right now, and you need to clap cheeks. I said, all right, cool. Say no more. Obviously, I didn't listen. A year later, right? I worked out. You know what I'm saying? My body's looking the best. I go on Tinder. Now, broski on my left side, okay, is a white brother. White brother, right? Let's call him Timmy. Timmy, right, is out of shape. Timmy does not take care of himself whatsoever. Timmy eats whatever he wants. No dietary restrictions. Basically, both like Santa Claus, right? And we both decide to make a Tinder account, right? Because I tell Timmy, I say, yo, Timmy, look, you just broke up with your girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I have my broski that Tinder's, you know what I'm saying, is popping right now. This is when Tinder was new. Jump on Tinder. We're both going to jump on Tinder. And we're going to see what result we're going to be getting. Bro, I'm telling you, yeah? This guy was getting more ass than me. Santa Claus was getting more ass than me, bro. He was getting more ass than me. And I just did not understand. I did not understand. For the most part, yeah? Here's the reason why. Tinder is literally filled, okay, at the time when it's still new, with white women, okay? And white women, right, based on statistics we've seen here, prefer white men. You know what I'm saying? So Santa Claus, who's out of shape, does not give a fuck about his appearance, was getting more ass than me. You know what I'm saying? So that was an eye-opener for me. And that's exactly why I can understand the statistics I'm seeing right here. It's accurate based on my experience.
best with their own race, although with white men it's kind of close. White men tend to do just by far the best outside of their own race, with Asian men doing the worst outside of their own race. Now, these percentages you're looking at are match percentage increases and decreases, which probably don't mean much to you because I doubt you've used OkCupid. So what instead we're going to look at is inches. If we use the study I looked at earlier and convert these numbers over to inches, you can see approximately how much attraction is gained or lost based on your ethnicity across national averages. Some of you are probably thinking right now, what about me? I'm multiple. Well, we're going to cover that now. If you're a mixed guy who's a mix of black and white descent, and you meet a girl who's white and has the national average white woman preferences, which are white men are neutral and black men get a -6, then what we're going to do is take the two and add them together, or in this case, subtract, and divide it by 2 to find the average, which in this case would be -3, giving you a score of -3, meaning in her eyes you're losing about 3 inches of attractiveness due to your ethnicity. It's a pretty simple equation. You can do this for all of your ethnicities and every group you encounter, although remember, these are all averages. Just quickly, for those of you who don't think dating apps/sites data counts, one, 60% of people meet online nowadays, so it's super important how well you do on online dating. And two, the attraction percentages on that OkCupid study perfectly line up with the most common interracial couples in America. Dating apps certainly are real life, even if they are a little bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. You know how many times lots of people told me, get off dating apps, right? Go meet somebody in real life. I'm thinking, who do you think are getting on these dating apps, right? If you select your surrounding area, let's say you're selling 5 miles away, who do you think you're spotting on these dating apps? It's literally the same people that you're gonna spot 5 miles away. Okay, it's either you move to the girl in person or you move to them on a dating app. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's that same thing. So if you're finding a lot of like bad eggs online, most likely it's because there are lots of bad eggs in real life. You're seeing us real life people on dating apps. Just because you're meeting them through a different method doesn't mean that one works better than the other or you're gonna get a different outcome.
So how do you use any of this to your advantage? Well, first of all, there's been a decrease in racial preference over the last, well, ever. And this means interracial relationships are only becoming more common. Despite this, though, every race will tend to do best with their own race, especially Asian men and black men. I'm not really sure why, but this...
Well, I'll tell you why. It's simply because of familiarity. You know what I'm saying? Everyone does better with people that they can relate to. Now, let's take race out of this for a second. If I'm black and I have a black experience, all right, in this life, a person who has had the same experience will be able to relate to me better. You know what I'm saying? Say, for example, if I was been fat my entire life, right, and, you know, I have insecurities, and whenever I'm around people, I like people to understand that maybe I might not be able to walk quick or I don't like being by myself because people might be staring at me. Okay, a person that has been in your situation or still is in your situation will be able to relate to you better, spot all the stuff that's going on with you, and be able to assist you better than someone who has never been in that situation. You know what I'm saying? If you are like obese and you're dating someone that's skinny and has been skinny their entire lives, right? They will not understand these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about relatability. So that's the reason why. That's literally all the reason why. I don't think that a person's necessarily racist for you know, saying I just want to date my own kind. Sometimes it's just for relatability. Hey, sometimes it's just because, you know, that's just, you know, how they've been raised. That's what they want to do. So
this is what the data seems to bear out. Interracial dating is more common in major cities, and so I recommend if you're struggling because of your ethnicity and you are in a small town, so say you're an Asian man in a town of all white people or black people or really any ethnicity, I would recommend getting to a city where people are going to have less harsh racial preferences and you'll do better. I will keep in mind, not all cities are the same, and some cities will be better than others. So I want you to let your mind go blank for a second and imagine.
This is by far the best dating advice I've ever gotten, because if I was to give dating advice based on my experience, this is exactly what I'd say, because it's dead on point. I'm seeing lots of people talking about, I'm not getting asked on Tinder and so on and so forth. And based on where I am, I'm thinking, why is it so difficult? I found people just like that in a finger click, and that's because I live within the city. I live in London, right? So in London, because there's so many people, because London is so multicultural, I'm more likely to get success. If I move outside of London, my success is gonna, you know what I'm saying, take a nosedive, because outside of London, you know, it's less the multicultural, so therefore people are gonna be less familiar with dating someone outside of the race or have, you know, niche appeal. So yeah, if you're not getting a lot of us people, yeah, just move to a new city, to be honest with you, or else you're just gonna struggle with desert dick for the rest of your life.
In a situation. Imagine you're an Asian man deciding where to go to university, and you have two choices: University of Toronto in Toronto, Canada, and Queen's University in Kingston, Canada. Toronto is 43% white and 35% Asian. Queens is 82% white and 12% Asian. Well, where do you decide to go, assuming you're looking to have a good dating life? Well, if you chose Queens, you would be at a serious disadvantage. Why is this? Well, a large majority white population makes women feel a need to whitewash themselves to fit in. That will mean non white women want to date white men to essentially fit into the culture of the city.
Damn.
As a bonus, you have very few Asian women, which are going to be the group you do the best with. And because non white women want to date white men, you're probably not getting the same level of bonus as you would in other places. On top of that, white men, who are 82% of the population, are probably going to get a bonus because, again, non white women want to date white men in cities where it's the majority. And what makes it even worse is that 82% of the population are white women, where even if we use just the national averages, you're still getting -8 inches to your attractiveness from 82% of the population.
You might as well just be celibate at this point.
Now, if we take a more multicultural city like Toronto, Asian women will feel less pressure to whitewash themselves to fit in because there's not even a majority. It's such a multicultural city and everyone appreciates their own culture within the city. Asian women will tend to appreciate men of their own culture. As a bonus, there's a large amount of Asian women, approximately 3 times as many per capita as in Kingston, which is going to be your most favorable matchup, even if you just get the nap.
Isn't this basically saying then that dating is also affected by trends? Because what I'm hearing here, okay, is that people conform to what areas in which they're in. Essentially, meaning they're easily influenced because they want to fit in. They're gonna date the preferences that are, you know, they're gonna date the people that are preferred within that specific area. At that point, if you pick a person like that, then you're just picking a person that doesn't have a mind of their own. Because at the end of the day, if they go by what the trend says instead of what they want deep inside, then yeah, you're just dating somebody that would just go for the trend. Imagine right now, yeah, people like booty, right? But at some point, this is just a fashion. Like, it's not fashion. This is kind of like a trend. At some point, it's gonna go, right? So that's when all the BBLs and everything else is gonna disappear. And now what? What are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
National averages, which you may get even more than. Now, the other benefit of a diversity like Toronto is low social stigma around dating people outside of your own ethnicity. This will give, essentially, all races will give less of a debuff to Asian men. So in a more homogenous city, they'll give, say, the national averages of -8 to Asian men from every ethnicity. Whereas in a diverse city, because of reduced racial stereotypes, they've been around more Asian men,
Niggas at
and there's
8.
less of a culture shock, it's going to fall to only, say, -4.
Yo, shout out to all my Asian brothers out there, man. It's a struggle out here. It's a struggle out here, man.
Myths, of course, and I would take everything I say here with a little bit of a grain of salt, but these are, I've found to be generally true. So, when choosing to move cities to improve your dating life, I would recommend looking for more of your own ethnicity, as it's just going to be the group you do statistically the best with, and look for cities without a majority ethnicity if it isn't your own ethnicity. So, a couple examples. If you're Hispanic and you're choosing between a job in San Antonio and San Francisco, obviously you're going to want to choose San Antonio, as you have 4 times the Hispanic population, which means your race is the majority and the culture will be around fitting into your culture, as well as you just have 4 times the prospects of people you do the best with, meaning you're going to pick San Antonio. If you're Asian and you're choosing between, say you have 2 options for jobs, Seattle or New York, and you look and you see the Asian percentage is the same, approximately, then you're going to look at what the majority is, which the largest group in New York City is white people at only 31%, meaning there's no majority group. So there's no pressure to fit into any specific group. Whereas in Seattle, it's majority white, meaning most Asian women are going to try and date white men just to try and fit into white.
Bro, you know what? I'm clocking. All I'm clocking is this. Okay, if you are not white, okay, if you are not white, and you want the best chances, you just need to move to areas, okay, that are either multicultural or do not have a lot of white people, okay? Because a white man and a white woman are one of the most preferred races, right? White is the most preferred race. So if white is in a specific area, is the majority in a specific area, then essentially that basically means as an ethnic person, your chances of taking a nosedive. That's the general consensus I'm getting from this. So yeah, man, the best chance as an ethnic person is to live inside of a city. Outside of a city, you are not getting many results at all. Your matches are gonna move from like 100 to like 3 at best, right? And then the rest of it is just gonna be you and your left hand, and you know what I'm saying, just doing bicep curls on your meat.
Culture, because that's the culture of the city, and essentially there's a peer pressure to it, right? So this is going to make New York the option you want to go to rather than Seattle. Here's some anecdotal experiences I've had in terms of dating interracially and noticing people around me try and date interracially. And you can kind of ignore all of these if you want, because I don't have any more data, but I've found all of these to be true, so I wouldn't ignore them. Uh, the Eurocentric beauty standard does exist. White men are considered conventionally attractive, just across all ethnicities. And the main advantage of this is going to be with girls' social circles. So let's take two situations here. One, you're a Hispanic man and a black woman likes you, right? These are all averages, exceptions exist. This black woman tends to like.
Bro, why is this guy on point? Why is this guy on point? Because everything he said is so like it's. I think I need to have a conversation with this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because we agree so much. A person's social circle influences how they pick their partners so much. You know what I'm saying? Because like I know one girl, right, that is literally surrounded by white people. Okay, and the thing is, her friends, her friends literally date white men because they're white. They're gonna get them, but she herself can't get those. You know what I'm saying? Because she's black, and for some reason she doesn't understand this. That she doesn't understand the desirability. She doesn't understand that, right? So if you're around a lot of people who are just surrounded by their own people, most likely they're gonna date their own people. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of sets expectations wrong there for her, and that's why she hasn't really been much successful.
Latino men. Her friends, on the other hand, are another mix of races who don't necessarily like Latino men. Maybe some do, maybe some don't, but she's going to receive mixed feedback from her friends and not know if she should stick with this guy. Whereas if you're a white man and a black woman is attracted to you and she goes and talks to your friends, they're all going to think you're attractive because white men tend to do the best across ethnicities, and because of that, she'll think she picked well, right? All of her friends like you, so you must be attractive, right? I do think this has the largest advantage in high school, though, where a girl is still dependent on her parents. And so if you're trying to date outside of your race in high school, it's going to be significantly easier if you're a white man because she knows that her parents are probably going to think you're attractive because you're white. And the opinion of her parents is obviously the most important opinion in her life at that point, as she's completely dependent on them. Something to keep in mind, though, is I think EBS is largely mitigated if you're highly attractive. If you're very, very attractive, everyone can tell you're attractive and it doesn't really make a difference. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Racial stereotypes do exist. Certain groups are attributed certain qualities.
You just slap the eggplant right there, man. Bro, just slap the eggplant right there. Okay, yeah, stereotypes definitely do exist. I mean, is it true though? I don't think every black guy's got, you know what I'm saying, like a massive eggplant right in between the legs. I don't think that's true. I do not think that's true. I've heard stories. Okay, I heard stories. That is not true. But nah, if we're talking like percentage, 100%, like I think the eggplant story does apply for the most part, but not always.
Qualities on average, and this will help them in short-term or long-term dating depending on the group. But the vice versa will also exist, which will tend to hurt certain groups in terms of short-term dating and hurt certain groups in terms of long-term dating. I don't have any evidence for this, but I've found this to be true, and I'm sure most of you have too. Another thing is expectations will be given to you based on your race. So certain women will like, say, black men who aren't, like certain women who aren't black will like black men, but they'll like a specific kind. They want the tall, tatted up black guys rather than the clean cut. And so even though she likes black men, she likes that kind of black man. If you don't fit that sexual archetype, she's probably not going to like you, even if she likes your ethnicity. Look for women who dress to match your ethnic style. So if I see a woman wearing this outfit, no matter what her ethnicity is, I assume she likes white guys because she's dressing to try and fit into white culture, and she likely wants to be a part of that culture, which includes dating a white man. Whereas if I see a woman who looks like this, even though she's white and the national averages would say she likes white men, she probably likes black guys. There's no evidence for this or way to back it up, but it's just likely true. And if you want the best chances, I would look to people's style.
Have you heard of the hoops? They say if you find a white girl that's wearing massive hoops, she's trying to signal. She's trying to tell you that she likes. You know what I'm saying? She likes BBC. So I think this is dead on point.
To essentially have a better guess at if she's going to like you or not. Lastly, I want to point out again, these are all averages. Obviously, exceptions exist. Some Asian guys will like black girls, and some black girls will like Asian guys, and so on and so forth. Although I think these exceptions become more common if you're tall, jacked, and or handsome. I think you'll find a lot of women saying, I'm usually not into guys like you, or something like that. If you're
exceptions, the only way that you are literally gonna be on the hit list of someone who, you're usually not the type, as if definitely you're exceptional. So I've seen so many like black girls walking on, they're like a 10 out of 10, right? And they'll be dating like a white guy or an Asian brother or someone who would not usually go for black girls. And if every single time I see a black woman dating like a white man or an Asian brother or someone that wouldn't usually go for black, they are literally exceptions. They are 10 out of 10.
Very handsome, but it is worth keeping in mind. I hope you guys found this valuable or interesting. If you did, just let me know down below. I try to respond to as many comments as I can. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, he definitely
Your
earned my
race
sub.
matters.
Broski definitely earned my sub. I'm subscribing and I'm liking the video and subscribing because I think it's very hard to find people who are this level of logical, and I 100% agree with everything what Broski said, man. If you got any video suggestions, let me know in the Discord below. There's a channel called suggestions or videos, whatever I'm gonna name it, and just put your clips in there and I'm just gonna react to it. So yeah, let me know.